What happens to the human brain during total darkness? Now close your eyes for a moment. Not long, just long enough to notice something. The second you cut off light, real light, all of it, your brain does something involuntary. It reaches. It scans. It builds a map of everything around you from sound, temperature, the pressure of air against your skin. It does this in milliseconds. You do not ask it to. That reflex is old, older than language, older than tools. It was installed into your nervous system at the same time as fear of the dark, which is to say, at the beginning of everything. But here's what happens when you don't just close your eyes for a moment. Here's what happens when the dark doesn't stop. In 1962, a French speleologist named Michel Siffre climbed into a glacier cave in the Alps and sealed himself inside. No clock, no windows, no way to tell day from night. He had food, water, a sleeping bag, and a telephone line to the surface. Every time he woke up or fell asleep, he called. Scientists above him tracked real time. He tracked what his body told him. By the end of his experiment, Siffre had spent what felt to him like 34 days underground. He had actually been there for 63. The first thing that goes is time. Inside your skull, buried in the hypothalamus, there is a structure the size of a grain of rice, called the suprachiasmatic nucleus. It is your master clock. Every cell in your body runs its own internal rhythm. Your heart, your liver, your gut. And the SCN synchronizes all of them. It is the conductor. Without it, every system drifts off on its own schedule. But the SCN doesn't run on instinct alone. It runs on light. Every morning, light hits your retina and travels a direct pathway straight to the SCN. The message is simple. It's daytime. Begin the sequence. Release cortisol. Raise body temperature. Sharpen attention. Start the 24-hour countdown. Without that signal, the clock doesn't stop. It drifts. The human circadian rhythm, freed from light, runs at roughly 24.5 hours. Not 24. Half an hour longer every single day. Which means after 1 week underground, your body clock has slipped 3.5 hours from the outside world. After a month, you are fully nocturnal by surface standards, sleeping through what used to be your mornings, waking at what used to be midnight. Siffre didn't know. He couldn't know. He was running on internal time only, and internal time has no anchor. He described the early days as peaceful, quiet, a long stretch of nothing, sleep when tired, eat when hungry, no obligations. He thought he was adapting well. He was not adapting. His brain was already losing its grip on when it was. The second thing that goes is the line between sleeping and waking. This takes longer. Around 48 hours in complete darkness, your brain starts losing the chemical signals that separate the two states. Melatonin, the hormone that triggers sleep, is normally suppressed by light during the day and released at night. Without light, the pattern breaks. Melatonin surges at wrong times. Cortisol doesn't peak when it's supposed to. Your brain stops knowing which state it's in. In 1938, the sleep researcher Nathaniel Kleitman, who would later discover REM sleep, ran an underground cave experiment in Mammoth Cave, Kentucky. He was trying to force the human body onto a 28-hour day cycle using isolation from light. It didn't work. What he found instead was that the border between sleep and wakefulness began to dissolve. Subjects drifted in and out without full transitions. They experienced what felt like dreams while still functionally awake. This is called REM intrusion. Your brain's dream machinery, which normally activates only during specific sleep cycles, begins bleeding into waking consciousness. You are awake. You are also dreaming. Both are true at the same time, and you cannot tell which is which. Your amygdala, meanwhile, stays activated, not at full alarm, at a low, persistent hum. Threat assessment running in the background, because darkness meant danger, and that equation was written into your nervous system before you had a word for danger. Sleep becomes shallower. You refuse to fully let go. Something in the dark might use that moment. You are thousands of years and thousands of miles from that threat, and that logic is still running in you. After approximately 72 hours in complete sustained darkness, something unexpected happens. Your visual cortex, which has received no external input, starts generating its own. This is called the Ganzfeld effect, first formally documented by psychologist Wolfgang Metzger in 1930, after he exposed subjects to a blank, featureless visual field. When the brain receives no visual information, no pattern, no movement, no contrast, it doesn't go quiet. It fills the void. First, phosphenes. faint pulses of light that originate from nowhere, slow blooms of color that appear and dissolve. Your eyes are open or closed. In the dark, it makes no difference. The light is not coming from outside. Then, typically within 20 to 30 minutes of unbroken, total darkness, the images begin. Not noise, not static. Structured hallucinations with depth, texture, and logic. Shapes that have weight. Faces. Landscapes. Some subjects report animals. Some report geometric patterns so precise they believe they are seeing something real. Some lose the ability to distinguish the hallucinations from actual visual experience. Prisoners isolated in dark cells for extended periods reported the same phenomenon so consistently that neuroscientists gave it its own name, prisoner's cinema. The brain, denied all input, begins broadcasting its own programming. But here is the part the researchers were not expecting. The hallucinations are not random. They follow emotional logic. If the subject is frightened, the visions run dark. If calm, they trend ambient, soft light, open spaces. The brain is not generating noise. It is generating content shaped by the emotional state of the person watching. Your visual system, in the absence of real data, defaults to showing you what you feel. This changes how we understand visual consciousness entirely. What you see is not purely what exists. It is filtered, always, through the internal state you are running. Light gives your brain enough competing data to override that filter. Remove the light, and you see, clearly, convincingly, completely, what your brain decides you need to see. The ancient humans sitting in caves with no fire were not seeing nothing. They were seeing everything their nervous system feared. Sifri emerged from his second cave experiment in 1972, 6 months underground this time, and told reporters he had nearly lost his mind. Not from hunger, not from cold, from the dissolution of time. He had no way of knowing how long he had been inside, no way of knowing how long remained. He lost the ability to anticipate the future because without time markers, the future doesn't exist. He described crying without reason, then being unable to cry, then feeling nothing at all. His body clock, tracked by researchers on the surface for all 6 months, had drifted so severely that he believed he was sleeping normal nights while actually sleeping 12 to 14 hours at a stretch. He was living in what he called subjective time, a private clock with no relationship to the rotation of the Earth. This is what darkness actually costs, not discomfort, not restless sleep. The loss of external light is the loss of the most fundamental anchor your brain has. The signal that tells every cell in your body what moment it is. The calibration wire connecting your nervous system to the world outside your skull. Without it, reality becomes increasingly interior. Your fears, your memories, your unresolved emotions. They fill the space that light used to hold. The next time you lie awake in the dark, and your mind won't let you go. The next time a power outage drops you into total blackness, and something old in your chest says, move, find light, don't stay still. The next time the dark outside the window feels heavier than it should, that is not anxiety. That is your brain running the oldest program it has. The one that kept every ancestor you have ever had alive through 200,000 years of nights. They had no guarantee they would survive. And if you stayed in that dark long enough, it would stop showing you what is there. It would start showing you what is not.